Staging. Okay.
I forgot to press record. I did that last week as well, which is
no worries. Yes, I rewatched the staging, and you said about the Snapseed, and I saw like do the background of it, and I thought, yeah, that's cool, but my phone is so small and my finger's so big. I'm like, how are you doing that? So I know the lady said about a stylus.
Yeah.
And then some people had it on PC, and I tried over the weekend, and it just wasn't happening. I was like,
I can't even try it now because of course we're talking to you on my computer. But I've never got it to work. And I think the thing you were talking about was like virtual desktop, which simulates a mobile phone.
Yeah, I think my husband's got that.
Yeah, I tried to do, and I'm trying to remember off the top of my head what it was. There was an app that I tried to use, and I thought, oh, brilliant. I think it was actually my point of sale to Shopify. And I found that it doesn't work.
Right.
I couldn't get the app to be recognized. I wonder if it was Snapseed, because I was trying to use it and the touchscreen element would work. So I couldn't use
Yeah. So I kind of, the pictures I've got are not perfect. And I'm just like, I'm just going to have to get crack on. Otherwise, I'm never going to get anything out there. And I just want to paint furniture more. And it just I need to put myself out there, really.
This is what I'm telling myself this week as well, Jackie. So if that's any comfort, I've been hiding to some extent, but not, mentally hiding, I think, rather than just like, I don't want to. Yeah. It's a lot to keep showing up consistently, and it tends to happen in fits and starts, but that's why it's good for me to have somebody around here, but I haven't got them anymore. So
that's such a shame.
But yeah, it's difficult, isn't it, to keep at that all the time and not sort of go, yeah. Yeah, I've had a funny week. So, and funny you were talking to me about glass, because most of my funny week, it's only Wednesday, but funny week as in into last week, say a full actual week, is glass related. So yes,
I couldn't get to the piece. It's behind a chair and I've got things propped up. It's like it's not very deep. One side it's got shelves and a door with a single pane of glass. That's all it would be. And I was just wondering if you change every piece.
I've never changed fitted glass.
Okay.
I've never changed sliding door glass unless something untoward has happened to it.
Right.
So I've always, as long as there's no chips in the glass, or cracks obviously, and everything's sound, I've left vintage glass in place because it is exempt from toughening. I think it's a bit like working lighting in things that are still working, and I suppose it's like vintage sofas are exempt from the retardancy, whatever, but if you go to reupholster them, you have to, and reglaze them, you have to then comply. So if you had a broken pane, you'd have to put in glass. So when I buy shelves, I always buy toughened glass. And when I've bought replacement sliding doors, so whether there's been a bit of an accident to one, then they've been toughened as well. But I've never taken anything out that was perfectly fit for purpose. I suppose the only difference would be is if you felt it was a bit unsafe or a bit rattly or it wasn't fitted very well, but then you could always add a little bit of sealant or something to hold it tighter in place or something. So I've generally left them alone. Generally, she says, but the piece behind me it's got 6 new pieces of glass in it. Because, well, it's been an absolute pain in the backside. I don't think this piece is particularly that old. The cabinet I've got, I think it would be, I don't know. I don't think it's old, judging by the look of it. Anyway, but the glass got scratched quite badly in the process.
Right.
And
Yes.
I've gone through.
I remember you saying, yeah.
Yeah.
Whiting.
Yeah. I've gone through every solution I could possibly think of and driven myself slightly insane with it. And this is why I talk about on the course about people being resilient and picking yourself up again. And I've had to take a huge dose of my own medicine this week and last week because it's driven me insane. But yeah, it's got new glass in, but obviously it's got to be toughened. And I've had to dig all the putty out to get the old glass out. So it's just, but I started off trying to polish the scratches out, which proved to me that you probably need a professional to do that, or a professional polishing kit and professional polishing machinery and etc., which I don't have and I'm not going to spend on. So we've gone down the route of new glass. Yeah. So no, you should be okay as long as yours is sound.
Cool.
And not scratched. Yeah.
That's cool. Excellent.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good. I think there was what else? What are you having anyway?
Oh, this is not for me. This is chicken and chips.
Oh, very nice.
Fine. A few more minutes and we're done.
Well, I can go on to answer Mari's. No, it wasn't Mari, actually, was it? No, it was Moraine, sorry, his question. As well. Yes, everybody's off doing other things tonight.
Oh.
Yeah, I have to consider because maybe going in the group is easier. People can spot it a bit more easily, but
I think it's quite good though. Like if we can talk, it's quite nice and
yes,
gets us
yes,
together a little bit, doesn't it?
Instead of having to type away, it's just obviously if there's not very many of us, or if I end up sitting here by myself of a week, and it's just deciding the frequency of them, because maybe you guys don't need them every week, or maybe one person does and one person wants it another week. And then you've got obviously people on the course as well, just dropping in every now and again. So it's just about getting that working, really.
Sorry, that's the dog. That's the dog. I don't know if you can hear her.
What's the squeaking?
The dog and her ball.
Oh, bless. My two aren't happy with me because they're just sitting there looking at me like sulky.
Oh, so the piece I was asking about with the glass,
yeah,
need to finish a few others, but you know, I like shiny things, Nikki. I've bought some foil to try.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, so I thought, yeah, give that a go. Might
nice.
Be
Look forward to seeing that. I can't wait to get started on something new. I feel like I've been stuck in last year a little bit with this piece.
Yeah.
You know, to get your teeth into something new. I suppose it's the same when you're taking photographs and listing stuff. It's like you want to be on to the next thing, don't you? Not
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because I'm finishing up this one as well, which was from before Christmas. So it's a bit like, come on. Yeah. So, but who, you know, it's that's all right. Get up and running soon, I'm sure, with some new exciting stuff. Hopefully. So I might just answer Moraine's question if you've got anything else for me. But if you need to pop off, that's totally understandable.
Okay.
Just
yeah, what I'll do, I'll blank my screen and just dish up, but I'll sort of listen and then you can answer the other question, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Cool.
That's fine.
All right.
Yeah.
Cheers.
See you in a bit.
Okay.
Let's have a little look. So Moraine has asked me, I think I might just go down to one of the questions as well, about she's doing her first piece, keeping some of the wood showing. Would you mind giving me a quick bullet point run through of that process? And of course, we had a question earlier on from Sarah, I think it was, asking about stripping of her piece, just looking in the group, so you should be able to see that, which is rather grand. Looks rather good as it is. So quite an unusual piece. So we're talking a little bit about the process of getting ready to strip. So that's quite interesting. I'm just reading Sarah's comment here. So I just, Lorraine didn't share a image with me, so we can have a look at Sarah's piece on screen. So excuse my millions of tabs. There's Sarah's piece, but she does actually say the finish is cracked and needs removing. So it's very unusual, isn't it, with really thick sides rather than sort of normal single sort of piece of wood on the side. It's almost like a TV. So we're thinking about stripping, and if Lorraine wants to do her first piece with wood, that would also be a question of, I would say, stripping, but there's more than one way to do it. So if you go and look in the course, I think there's maybe one element that I meant to add into that, which I've been trying to get hold of. So I'll have to double check on that, because there's a couple of different ways of sort of stripping down. Obviously, I'm advocating mostly using a paint or varnish stripper, paint and varnish stripper to strip. But you could also use, some people use a heat gun. That's another way to get a surface off. And it's usually quite good if you've got a really thick surface or an old paint finish. That could be quite good. Obviously, be careful of ventilation. If it's an old paint, there could be lead in it. Might release some of that into the air. So a heat gun can be quite good. You need to just very hard practice with it at first, so you don't dig too deep. And then cabinet scraper is another one that is quite popular with people. And again, be careful with those not to gouge too deeply. And I do definitely show the cabinet scraper and the stripping in the videos in the course. The heat gun bit, I think, went missing when I was recording the course. The lady who's helping me, and I think I might have to add that back in. So there's a couple of different ways, but I go for the paint and varnish stripper just because it's less hands-on. You can leave it there. It's quite gentle. It really cleans out the surface of the wood. You don't have to worry about gouging or taking too much off in any other technique. But cabinet scrapers can be good also. Carbide cabinet scraper in the videos. So you just scrape like this. Just watch you're not taking off too much wood. And then a heat gun, literally like this. It comes with a metal funnel. Oh, well, I just realised we're just looking at my. There we go. It comes with a metal funnel, so it can direct the heat, and you just literally use it with a spatula or a utensil at the same time. I forgot what it's called, scraper, and keep moving. Don't hold it in one place too long. So let it heat up first. It starts to warm up. But yes, stripping. Technically, if you're stripping, your process, Lorraine, you wouldn't need to clean, but I think it's a good technique just in case you do push any dirt from the surface, or any grease or any oil does actually penetrate into the wood in any way, and it could act as a barrier to your paint. So you're good to give it a good scrub over first before you start to break up that surface. And now we're going to take off the finish, whether it's paint or varnish, completely with our paint stripper. Let me just get my head in gear with the rest of the question. So talk you through the process of it. Bullet points. So really, if you follow the format of the course, you'll get the idea of the process. So I would take it back to the wood, and then I usually get white spirit and give that a good clean. Sorry, let me just back up a second. You finish stripping, leave it overnight, let it to dry. Have a look at it, see if there's any remaining bits of finish there, which will catch the light because they'll be shiny, or if they're paint, they'll be coloured. And you can just lightly sand those off, and any sort of bits of residue you can see after you've done the initial scrubbing to get rid of the residue before it's dried. So once it's dried, you could give it a light sand. Just be careful not to go through the veneer if you're using something other than hand sanding. Then after that, that's when I obviously get rid of the dust, and then use white spirit to effectively clarify the surface, gets rid of any light dust. But which also helps for the tape to stick, because the dust just gets stuck to low tack tape and it can start to lift up. So it clears the surface, cleans the surface, and it also gives you a good idea of what that's going to look like when it's finished. So you can see if there's any remaining marks that you might need to tackle. Whether it needs a little bit more sanding, because you'll see that the white spirit doesn't sink in. So you should get a really nice look. You'll also know at that point if you want to stain it, if you want to change the colour, because you'll be able to see with the white spirit what ultimately what your finish is going to look like, unless you go for a specific product that will stop it going darker and it'll keep it pale. But generally, you know what I'm saying, if you don't like the tone, this is where you want to put a stain on. This is the point where you put a stain across everything. If you're going to do stain in your pattern, you want to do that after you've taped. So this at this point, when you've cleansed it sort of back with white spirit, let that evaporate, and you can go ahead and tape at that point. So you would tape, then you would paint, and then you would top coat in the simplest format. But if you're going to do, so there's two caveats: that tape, paint, top coat. If you're going to do the stain, you would tape and do some stain instead of, it's just like a transparent paint, effectively, isn't it? If you're going to do a pale colour in your design, you might tape, prime, paint, top coat, because you might need to just lay a little bit down of primer to stop any bleed through on that bit. So you wouldn't necessarily be priming the whole thing, you might be priming, say you've got some white diamonds, for example, you just prime those and make sure you tape really rub down well, or even use a little top coat to seal it, so that you don't get any primer puking through. That's one way. The other way is if you're going to use the shellac approach. So there's two ways to it. You could do, so this is why it's not the most straightforward bullet points in the world, because there's options. Is if you're using the shellac, I would put, what I do is I put 2 coats down after I've done the white spirit trick, 2 coats down, and sand back in between with a fine sandpaper just to give it a tooth again, because it should be flat to the surface of the wood, it shouldn't sit on top. Then I put my design on and do all the things I need to do, and then I put 2 coats of top coat on top of that. So it's just sort of sandwiching the design in between. So we're sealing the wood, getting a lovely grain out of it, design, then top coat. So there's 2 ways of doing it. The shellac isn't necessary. If your wood isn't particularly exciting, I wouldn't bother. I just go straight forward and put a top coat on. If you want to keep some drama, you either do the shellac option, or at the very end, you might want to go down the route of using some like Osmo oil, which is obviously oil based. It's not a top coat that I would use across paint, but you could use it on elements of paint, it's okay. But it's not a top coat I'd use purely on painted surfaces. That's the difference with that. So there's more than one way to skin a cat there, really. If you check out, I could probably do the extending it or doing another one, which will be a design process checker. But there's a handy process checker in the course, which has got its own section, so you should be able to find it, handy process checker. And that will tell you the way through to prep. So you can look at whether you're, need to prime, whether you need to scuff sand, whether you need to strip, what have you, all the way through to painting and finishing. So yeah, I wanted to do a more design orientated one about the layers of design. Okay, let's just pop that back on the screen. Oh, hi Kelly, how are you doing? Are you just listening in the background?
Yeah, hi Nikki. Yeah, I was going to hide my face, but I hadn't worked it out. So yeah.
I was just basically talking to my browser because the Zoom thing was down in the right hand corner. So
okay.
Talking into the air. I didn't realise you were there. Don't worry.
No, I was late. I've only just joined. Sorry.
That's all right. You all right?
Yes. Yeah. Good. Thank you. You?
Yeah. How are things going? Got anything you want to chat about tonight?
Nothing really. Well, started yet. I went for a tarot reading a bit randomly today.
Oh wow!
And I thought that was quite interesting. So yeah, hopefully, if it all comes together. I mean, a few of the things that were said are already there, if that makes sense. But
they're all what, sorry?
A few of the things that she said during the reading are actually already coming to
oh wow, that's good. I think I might need her or him.
Yeah, I can highly recommend. But yeah, it was really insightful. So yeah,
excellent.
As interesting as my day gets.
That's good. No, that's good. That's good. Do with a bit more excitement. That's very positive.
Yeah.
Yes, so it's good. Yes, because my week's shit. So. But we keep getting up and it gets better. So, but yes. So I was just going through the sort of, Moraine asked for bullet points of the process, which is tricky because there's variables, isn't there? There's not a one direction. unless people sort of share a design with me. So I hope that's answered that question as best I can. But yeah, she can come back to me and let me know. Yes, so I've just got a couple of, oh no, just double checking. Yes. So what are you on with now? Are you starting on something else?
I've got a nest of tables that I should have finished last year. They're painted. I made the mistake of actually putting the paint on first. I should have primed them. I didn't realise they were mahogany. So I wasted a whole tub of fusion paint, and it's quite painful to a bit of a lesson, to be honest, and kind of look at your wood properly before you actually paint.
Yeah.
Some projects, the cocktail cabinet that I've just done, I didn't realise what wood it was until further on down the line. So
yeah, but I think some of them do and some of them don't as well. You can get away with it sometimes.
Yeah. So
yeah.
There's those. I've got lots, but my issue is time at the moment. So I just need to plod along with that. I've just done a little write up for a small magazine. So there was that. I got that in today.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, just it was following on from that post that you did last year. There was just a few little things that kind of prompted me to kind of get my my arse into gear. Week and to do a bit more. So
yeah, I can. And there comes a point where we'll be so far into January where I'm just thinking, right, I need to be up to speed now. And it feels like I'm still bumping my bum along the runway, just trying to take off. Yes, I keep having things that are teaching me lessons at the moment. So it's good in a way, because it reconnects me with, when you've got people on your course and they're going through that, or in the group who are going through stuff and feeling the sharp end of it. It's like you never stop learning, never stop having your butt kicked by bits of furniture. Unfortunately, it's just getting better at getting yourself up from it, I think. Yes. So what else? I think we've gone through most of the questions. Jackie has gone off to feed the kids, so she's back. But if anything you want to... Oh, you are back. Yeah.
Right.
I haven't got anything else to chat about.
I was going to ask you, I mean, it's not a question, but it's just, I'm curious. You were saying earlier, I don't know if you heard Kelly, but about the glass in the piece behind you, and it's obviously for a customer. So would you build that extra time into their cost, or is that something you would just kind of suck it up a little bit?
With this one?
Yeah.
Specifically?
Yeah.
Well, no, that's why I'm so frustrated with it at the moment, because I've basically wasted any profit that was in the piece, because it was already finished and it was sold and it was ready to go out. So it was sold off interior. So there's nothing I can do to charge them, because it's our error, and it wasn't my error, unfortunately. When I'm stressing about it in here trying to fix it, you would think it was, but it wasn't me that scratched it. But no, unfortunately, I've got to suck all that up, and so the more time it takes, and then as one day falls into another, I'm thinking, do I just go back to them and say I'm taking it off the market? But you get to a point where you're thinking, well, and the annoying thing is 2 other people have asked about buying it afterwards.
Oh no.
Yeah, so I'm just like,
oh.
Yeah. And to be honest, my will to do anything with this, because obviously you've got double-sided, you've got the little things in between, so my will to go and do something else like this again is fairly low at the moment. But if I could find more of them, I guess I would. When somebody wants something, it's better than doing something and hoping somebody will buy it. It's a good thing, but it's just absolutely kicking my ass at the minute. So yeah, but no, I have to suck that up, unfortunately. Tried to get it ready for the courier this morning and I had to call him off and just say, I mean, it happens, it does your head in, but what's the worst thing that can happen? You know, it'll take me another week to get it to him. Okay, you know, and I now know how to glaze the window, which I perhaps didn't need to necessarily know. And the stripping the old putty out was quite satisfying, I have to say. That's another heat gun thing. That was quite satisfying, but no, I just find myself thinking, why can't I do things the easy way? So yes,
That's why you create these amazing pieces, Nikki, because you don't do easy pieces.
I know, but I think I've had enough, you know. I think, as in, I've had enough of things being complicated and just want to do things and just enjoy them and not be going, oh, that hasn't worked, I'll have to redo it. But as I said, it's reconnected me with the pain points that other people have. Not that I've completely forgotten, but I think it's good, you know, to remind people that, you know, there are these frustrations, aren't there, as we go along. It's just, although other people make it look really easy, I don't think people are very open about the pitfalls, you know, like when you can't get your hinges back on and your screws don't come out and all that sort of, there is stuff that no matter how good you get at, there's going to be something that happens like that, and it doesn't mean you're rubbish, but it's good bit of self-talk required.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, you just go and let a child in.
Have you left him in the garden?
Oh no, they're in. I was going to say, is there any chance with the heat gun of like burning the woods?
Yeah.
Is that when it smells? Because I stripped a door recently, and I'm like, ooh.
Yeah. You'll see it, because it's like when you do wood burning with the poker thing. You'll see the change in the colour when you burn it. It's just, you just hold it somewhere too long. You almost expect to waft it a little bit, not a lot.
Wow.
I tell you what, I have to kind of stop myself though, because I've got a hairdryer. I've got hairdryers for drying designs quickly, you know, so that you can put the next coat on. And when I've used the heat gun, I kind of have to stop myself putting my hand in front of the heat gun like you would to make sure it's hot. I'm like,
oh,
I keep thinking I'm just going to check. I'm like, no. God, at one time I will do it. I've already cut myself with the glass, as you can see.
oh.
I think I've technically removed about 1/4 of an inch of my fingertip, of my fingerprint. So yes, been fun. Yeah, so you've got to be careful with them. You've got to keep moving, and if it's not giving way, I'd sort of move it away and move it back a bit so it's a chance. Yeah, but it was very satisfying taking the putty off to make, because it's got linseed oil in, so it just kind of goes really soft. But I'd rather not have to do it. That's the thing. Yeah. So
It's interesting that, sorry, talking over you. I think it's interesting that 2 other people after that unit as well might be like a sort of popular thing.
Yeah, I had good instinct about that one when I got it, even though it's not what I'd normally choose. Because I thought, oh, that somebody offered it me for free, and I thought, well, that'd be quite good surface to work on, and it's good space for storing stuff inside, and it's not too twiddly, so to speak. But yes, isn't it funny? Because obviously it's sat with me on the website and on the other websites for, I don't know, a couple of months, maybe 6 weeks, 8 weeks or something. That's the same thing as 2 months. But anyway, it's sat there for a while. So, but it's it's definitely picking up a bit now in terms of people's interest. Definitely being quiet. So I think now that I've sold both the drinks cabinets that I had, I think I will look for something specific like that that's a bit more exciting, that I think will catch people's eye a bit more than just working my way through the small pieces in my stash, which I don't know if that's what we're looking for. And you're kind of taking a bit of a gamble, aren't you, really? But yeah, it seems to be picking up a bit. Well, I've had a lot of people getting in touch with me about doing bits of pine up, which is really weird. And a few of them saying, I've been looking at your Instagram and I'd like, and I'm like, well, if you've been looking at my Instagram, why do you think that I'd want to paint that pine TV cabinet for you a different colour? In a nice way. And I might, fit the jobs in between stuff, because we're coming back from a quiet time, and it might be good just to get the work in, I would say, Instead of saying, I don't do that at the moment, it might be, you know, for the want of other jobs, get them in. But yeah, interesting and strange.
I mean, could you like just schedule, think, right, I'll just do like one a week? Because you could do that fairly quickly, couldn't you? Rather than say yes to everybody and then that's all you're doing. Because if that was me, I'd get really bored doing that.
Yeah, well, I don't do them at all. I haven't done any sort of single paint job type things. I've done some plain restoration pieces more recently, but I've not done any single paint jobs, you know, for maybe about 3 years. But no, I think yeah, that's it. You just don't necessarily shout about it on your social media, and just do it. You know, get Sarah on the job, and it's just helps sort of keep things moving, doesn't it, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's probably the way to do it. Yeah, you say schedule it and put gaps between them. But yeah, and then hope that you get too busy to do many more of them. But you know, it's good that people are getting in touch. It's something, you know, I'm going to take the positives out of it. But yeah,
It's not floating your boat, is it?
no. No, not really. But yeah, I think I'm in a bit of a funk at the minute. So that's and it's probably just because of this stuff that's hanging over me. I want to get starting on some new stuff and feel a bit like I'm starting the new year rather than having a hangover to last year. So but anyway, I don't want to depress everybody else.
No, you got to share, Nikki.
Yeah, no, exactly. I think that a lot of it's hormonal, to be honest, and a bit ADHD chucked in the mix. So it's not
Well, you sound perfectly normal from where I'm sitting, so
you don't feel normal. In between the crying.
it's a shame, Nikki, you couldn't have done some sort of, you know, your looks designs, you know, on the glass. I was just thinking of a way of turning it around, a positive way, you know, rather than having to learn a skill to repair it. But I'm guessing if it was on Vinteria, the client or customer wouldn't have gone for that option. I haven't seen the piece, you know, do a design over the glass rather than having
it has got a design on the glass.
Oh, has it? Oh, okay. Right.
Yeah. So the unfortunate thing is I've had to redo it. I've redone it more than once already, because this is why I've got to this point of like, Nikki, we stop overcomplicating things, because I was learning a good technique for putting designs on glass. So I've been going through that sort of process of working it out and working out what products remove it, because one design I did start to dissolve when we used glass cleaner on it. I was like, I can't have that, because if people are cleaning stuff, you know, so it's been a good process. But yeah, with the glass having to come out, fortunately, the design is like an L shape, and it's only the small part on the right hand side so I can't really add any extra in there. I did try to frost it. I thought, I'm going to just lightly frost it, that'll hide the scratches. And he might not realize that it's lightly frosted in the pictures, because it's got a gold back anyway, which is kind of a sort of metallic-y, so it could be a bit frosted anyway. But a light frosting rather than a proper full-on spray frosting, you know, like a proper frosted glass. A light frosting ended up looking a bit patchy, and it just looked a bit shit. So I had to take that off. So I've tried all sorts, but yes, thank you. That would have been a nice idea. And it did occur to me, when we have to be fairly agile about these things, it did occur to me, do I just pull it and redo it to work with what's there and then sell it and just say you can't have it? But then you just don't know how long that's going to take to sell. So
True.
I thought it'd be better if I just swallowed it, got it ready for him and shipped it, because at least it's, you know.
Yeah. Oh, bless you.
I know, but it's a lesson, a massive lesson, because I knew that Sarah had scratched the glass and I was trying to work with it, and really I should have probably only listed it once I knew because I mean, sometimes you've got an extra top coat to put on, or you've got this to put on when you're listing it, or I've still got to fit the light, but they're all things that I know how to do. With this one, it was like, hadn't solved the problem. I go in there with an attitude of, yeah, I'm sure I can sort it out.
Yeah.
But in this instance, I couldn't. So yeah. So yeah, don't list stuff unless you're totally sure you can finish the job. I think would be the take home from that. But shit happens, doesn't it? You know, it's
It does.
Yeah. So anything else you want to chat about?
Not really. Well, apart from well, might be further on down the line is staging again. It's rearing its ugly head.
Yeah.
I think on the back of the cocktail cabinet, I was incredibly disappointed with that. But
Yeah.
just want to get it right. I think the lighting was pretty key, and I think the background, the choice of the colour of the background, for me
Yeah.
and for what I do, I'm still not entirely sure what to do about it, whether it needs to be a light background or a dark background.
Oh
And
gosh,
it's
yeah.
like
And when you've got one, you want the other.
yeah, and it's kind of an ongoing scenario at the moment for me. So staging and the background is causing me a massive headache, because that is my next thing to do, is to get my shop open, and that's why I've not done it yet, is because I want to get it right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know, I just don't know what to do about it. Obviously I'm going to go back through the videos, but I think it's just going to be probably a matter of deciding what colour to do, whether it's black, which I think is the right choice, or whether it's going to be white, but then I've got to get the balance right and photograph it correctly, so I don't know.
I mean, your background can always be changed. I suppose that's the thing, isn't it? But it depends how much detail you've got in the staging that it makes it difficult to cut it out and superimpose it, or to slide a background in behind it. So the background can be changed. What's harder, apart from the Snapseed thing we were talking about, where you can change the exposure and sort of take it down a bit, but if you've got bright spots or reflections where the camera hasn't picked up the detail in the first place, that's harder to twiddle about with afterwards. I have to twiddle about my pictures as well, and to be honest, it does feel a bit of a holy grail to find that sort of, I've got this set up, I just throw it in, I take pictures and it's sorted. Because
it's a lot harder than it looks.
It is, because I mean, I came in here thinking, this is going to be dead easy, and then I've got this awful bright lighting, so it's there's always something, but we sort of manage with it as best we can. And I spend time editing my photographs well, because black doesn't photograph terribly well, because the lights bounce off it and make it like grey. So you tend to want to go in and use the exposure tool just to darken that off. You'll have to do less editing with white as a background, but the exposure tool is your friend. If you do have any bits of that you need to sort of fade out, or whether it's black or white, you can use that exposure tool quite well, and you can use it selectively. You don't have to use it all over. But yeah, no, I have to spend quite a bit of time editing. I think it's just part of it, really, because a piece of furniture might be different from the last piece you did, where if you left the lights in exactly the same position and you went to put it in, you might find there's a reflection on the glass, or on one piece it might be you need to move. So there's always going to be a need to sort of rework things a little bit. But yeah, I can understand why deciding what colour overall you want to use would make you feel a bit better.
I think I don't think it helps by, again, you just said about overcomplicating things. Obviously, you've got a very unique style, and probably what I'm doing is doing something bespoke each time, and that is obviously having an effect on what background. I'm trying to make it consistent, if that makes sense. It looked consistent, but obviously it's not, because each piece I do is completely bespoke. So it's I don't know. It.
I mean, you can definitely stick to dark or light. It's just that maybe the staging props might sort of change per time. If you wanted to make it sort of feel like your style. I've seen people, do that very effectively, just having the same color background all the time. I mean, mine are mostly black now, I think. But yeah,
I do this photograph really well. So that's, like I say, I just need to nail that, I think. I think you were slightly challenged with yours, because you had the front of it was a flat front, and it's going to bounce the light off, isn't it? It's going to so we sort of I even 5 years on, I probably didn't use lights for the first 6 months, but I still am there with the lights, trying to move them around, get the light bouncing in just the right way, and taking, and actually the idea is that they sort of go sort of 45 degrees to the wall,
pointing in the beams of it. But if we're getting reflected off stuff, we have to take them sort of even flatter to the wall so that they're sort of crossing in front, so they're not hitting the piece. But that's where your piece was particularly challenging, I suppose, just as exactly as if that bit there had been a glass section. You're going to get everything coming straight back at you, and you had your light all coming back at you, and that's the hardest bit, really. Yeah. No, I think it is a work in progress, and mine have definitely improved, but I still think, you know, I need to sort of get them better. So I think it's just sitting comfortable with the fact that they will evolve and get better over time.
Yeah.
And you got those fantastic pictures from your customer anyway.
No, I'm not moaning by anything. It's just one of those things I just want to get right. I know from you know, when I first started photographing in the bedroom, you know, you obviously move on, don't you? Your style evolves, and that's what I'm trying to do. You know, make it more professional. Yeah,
absolutely. So, have you looked at Thrive? Is it something you might consider? Because they can obviously go through each individual setup with you. I mean, obviously you can post in the group and we can all give feedback, and you can even, you know, in the group post up each time you take a picture and, you know, work through it with us. But
this is that lady, isn't it, that did the session? Is it?
Yeah. It's just if you felt that you wanted that sort of hand holding of how to set up the shot, and they will do each shot as it is, rather than like having to have a specific style if you wanted it that way.
No, I'll definitely consider that. I'll look into that, I think.
Yeah, because there's probably only so much that we could do sort of creatively to sort of, we can give you good feedback and go, yeah, we like that, what about moving this there, what about, you know, that sort of stuff is definitely possible. We can definitely do that in the group, can't we? But it's sometimes you want somebody who's a bit more of an expert to give you that sort of input. Well, I've used Judy quite a bit because I'm still a member. I've used her for the tall cabinet over there, which has got that glass. I don't want to talk about it, but she suggested an arrangement in that I wouldn't have thought of myself, which was because the design goes down the glass this way. She said, well, why don't you line up all your staging items in a line inside the glass? Which really, it just looked really directional and different to trying to do the usual little bit here, bit here, bit here. And I wouldn't have thought of that myself. So that was quite interesting. I would tend to do the same old thing. So it's quite nice to have somebody throw you some different ideas, and she might help you find your style if you're not sure. Because some of us, we overthink it and find it hard to stand back and be objective, I suppose, about our own things sometimes.
No, we do. No, that's good.
Yeah, even if we just did, just do a month, and when you've got a couple of things ready, you could do, do a sort of a glut of things and feel like you've really evolved your style.
I think I'm sort of veering towards what's his name? Is it Chris Martin? That that sort of style of
he's a member of Thrive as well.
Is he? Okay. Yeah, I love his stuff. So.
That's where he works very well with Judy. The two of them have come up with obviously the style of furniture is his, but I think she's helped him evolve. He's got very much of a style of his own, hasn't he? But I think she's supported that in bringing that out in the presentation of the pieces. But yeah, I can totally see that be a really good direction. With your own spin, obviously. Yeah. Your own Kelly spin. Yes, it is just. Yes, cool. Are you right there, Jackie? Everybody fed?
Yeah, all good. Yeah. She's got one more to feed because they came in late. So.
Goodness me. You need a buffet so they can just help themselves.
My family life is just bonkers.
I'm full of admiration because I struggle just to feed 2 dogs. Super mum.
No, really not.
Well, if you were giving me chicken and chips tonight, I'd be calling you super mum.
Fair enough.
I'll be very happy about that.
Cool.
All right. Are we all good then? Or anything else you want to chat about before I disappear off and take my grumpy ass somewhere else? I'll be back to normal. I'll be back to normal next week. I think it's just
it's understandable though, Nikki. It's understandable.
I think it's just a bit of a perfect storm. I think it's a bit of I think it's hormonal, and normally I pick myself up a bit better, so I'm just a bit like steam coming out your ears.
I'm
Uh,
sending you a huge virtual hug.
Thank you. I need it because
Oh.
I've been hugging my dogs like this. I'm like, why don't you hug me back, you little sods? But you know, it's part of being a woman, isn't it? We have to hold on to the roller coaster a little bit tighter than with the ups and downs through our busy lives as well. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for dropping in. If you and have enjoy the rest of your week.
Yeah, you too. Thanks, Nikki.
Thank you. I
All
hope
right.
it picks up for you.
Thank you. Lovely to see you
Bye,
both.
Becky.
Take
You too.
care.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.